Title belts to Hall of Fame. Doug and Tommy carved the name. Fists of fury and hearts of gold. Every story, every fight retold. Tales of glory, laughter, pride. Tennessee warriors with hearts open wide. In the ring or on the air, legends living without a care. On the mic they roar, on the mat they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans wanting more. Guys, kings ruling the waves. Memphis wrestling raising the stage.
Hey everybody, welcome back once again to Dangerous Conversations with Dangerous Doug Gilbert and Tommy Wildfire Rich. Guys, how we doing this week?
Man, I'm doing great, Gene. I'm sure Tommy is also, but it's been a good week. But what about us, Gene? I know we won't talk about wrestling, but what about we've done bombed Iran, hadn't we?
Yeah, I was at a show Saturday night, and somebody came up to the table over there where I was selling books and like, "We bombed Iran." I'm like, "Wait, what?"
you know what I was going to say, Tommy? I said that, but I was thinking we'll have another dozen Iron Sheiks coming out next week or two, won't we?
Oh yeah, them Kentucky Russians are gonna have to get them a tan here pretty quick.
There you
Get
go.
them some curly-toed boots. Tommy will be ready to take care of them, won't you?
Yeah, Tommy whooped the whole Iranian army.
But yeah, you're right. There'll be sheiks coming out of the woodwork from everywhere. Guys whiter than me and more redneck than me out there with a damn tablecloth on their head. And
hey, and them sheiks have been around forever too, man. Because it's like in Detroit this weekend coming up, man. It's a memorial for the original sheik, man. And you know, I wrestled him. I had the opportunity. I wrestled him about twice when I first got in the business. You talk about a wild match, and I was scared to death. I wasn't about 18, so yeah.
Hey,
hear all them stories, you know. It was pretty wild.
Did we figure out if he's going up there for Big Daddy or Sweet Daddy? Or
it's Sweet Daddy.
It's not Sugar Daddy?
Oh, it's Sweet Daddy.
Sweet Daddy. All right. Well, there you go. This Saturday, June the 28th, if you're listening to this on Friday, that's tomorrow. You can catch Tommy in Detroit on this chic memorial show for Sweet Daddy. And then, of course, tonight, June 27th, he's going to be in Orangeburg for a big benefit show. I know you're looking forward to that one, Tommy.
It's a dinner and autographs, a little meet and greet afterwards. Yeah. So it's for special cause and everything. So really a pleasure to be there, man. Just staying busy, that's a good thing.
Well, that'd be a cool deal, Tommy, for the fans and yourself also to get to interact and talk with some people.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. At Orangeburg, I wrestled there years ago. The building we wrestled in, they shut it down, but always was a great wrestling town. So looking forward to meeting the people there in Orangeburg. Want to invite them all out. Come get your picture made, get a picture with me. Whatever you need, we there for it.
Good deal, man. That should be a lot of fun. And of course, that show up in Detroit, that's wild that you wrestled the Sheik. I know Doug's told us a story about the Sheik. I don't know if he chased you all the way out of the building, but he chased you enough to have you run out of the building, right?
I was a little kid just getting, all the guys' jackets and the Sheik. I didn't realize it was like he didn't, and I don't know, you probably know more about this than me, maybe Gene, maybe not, but I don't think the Sheik ever come to Memphis but about maybe twice, and I don't know that and it might have just been once, but I didn't recall, I'd seen pictures of him and different things in the magazines and stuff, but they brought him in to work against Lawler and I laughed at Lawler one time because he asked me, he said, I told him about me running and he was laughing, shook his head. He said, you know what? He said, everybody was scared of him. He said, but really he was just kind of a little normal guy and everything. Yeah. But I mean, his persona and the way he carried himself and that whole gimmick and everything, I guess that's what done it to everybody.
Yeah, man, he was so good at playing that role, and you cannot find, like, other than guys like you guys that were actually around him in a dressing room somewhere. Fans, like, nobody knows what Ed Farhat sounded like. There aren't interviews of him. He never spoke in promos. Like, as far as anybody knew, he was the Sheik, and he played it 24/7 back when that was the thing to do.
I was watching that Dark Side of the Ring this afternoon on TV, and they had Dark Side about Abdul the Butcher, and they was talking about the Sheik being the original creator of hardcore, you know, with the blood and the guts and all of that. You know, they were talking about how over he was, and it was pretty cool watching that.
Yeah, and they did an episode, a Dark Side episode on the Sheik this season as well. That's out there.
I'll have to check that.
And somebody told me that it was really cool and like respectful and stuff, Gene, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it was. It was a really good episode, and they had, you know, Sabu was on there talking about his uncle before he had passed away and all that. And there's Brian Solomon wrote an excellent book about the Sheik that I read earlier this year. That's like one of the only ones out there, and he worked on it for a couple of years and talked to, you know, everybody he could find that had anything to do with the Sheik. So that's a good read if somebody's wanting to learn about, you know, more about the Sheik as a promoter and a wrestler and the whole story of the man. So that's an interesting one. And speaking of interesting, Tommy, you got another show coming up July the 4th. You're going to be at the Great American Wheelwright Bash 2. It's the second one.
Yes, sir. Number 2. Hey, I don't care if you like wrestling. If you don't, it don't matter. They've got free food, free drinks, free wrestling. I mean, if you just want to come to one hell of a shindig, everybody needs to turn out and Wheelwright. If you can hear me, you're close. Come on to Wheelwright. 4th of July, they're going to have fireworks. It's going to be one heck of a day.
Dang, Gene, I was fixing to say if it wasn't on the 4th, man, you might need to meet up and ride up there and get us a sandwich or something.
Free food, wrestling, and fireworks. What else you need? Wildfire's going to be there. I saw a poster where they said, I think Shane Douglas is coming, so him and Tommy may pick up where you guys left off with him in Philadelphia. I know y'all weren't quite done with him after that.
There you go. That's right. That's sure right. You can't never tell what's going to happen when Tommy's there.
Hey, but, you know, you're speaking about the Iranian, the Sheiks, and all of them coming. Well, we got a set of Russians up there that I want to invite everybody out to see some Russians get their butt kicked too. Bring your red, white, and blue flags because it's going to be a celebration, you know.
Tommy,
how appropriate.
I know this might not be the correct or most politically correct thing to say, but Tommy might even hit him a Russian woman up there.
Yeah, I'll be looking for old Hilda.
I hear you.
I've heard Hilda's been causing a lot of problems for you up there, Tommy. So I hope y'all get her straightened out along with the other Russians as well. What a more appropriate time to do it on the 4th of July. So
you ain't kidding. Great day to take care of some Russians.
That's right. Well, speaking of, you know, we was talking about the Sheik. What an interesting character he was. Well, I've been meaning to ask y'all about this for a while. You guys were involved on some, I guess one way to put it would be interesting shows for the Insane Clown Posse, who is that's a music act, and then they've also wrestled, and they had Juggalo Championship Wrestling at their gathering of the Juggalos, where all these Insane Clown Posse fans get together out in Cave in Rock, Illinois, out in the middle of nowhere. And you guys were booked on some of those shows a couple of different years, and we're going to kind of run down the card and talk about some of them, but kind of how did that even come about? How do you guys get contacted by the Insane Clown Posse?
I think, Gene, for some reason, I think the first time I did it, I think Kevin Gill contacted me, and I was trying to think, would you have the cards right there? And I mean, I think I might have been on 3 or something, and I know Tommy was with me. I got a funny story about one of them, and I know Tommy was with me on one or two, I think. But I was trying to think. Do you have the cards that me and him was on both on those?
Yeah, I've got 3 different cards here. This may not be all of them, but these are the ones I could come up with that you guys were definitely on. So the first one, August 14th, 2010, JCW Flashlight Wrestling. Now, my understanding of this is like 4 o'clock in the morning out there, and everybody's got flashlights more or less and headlights to light up the ring. Right? Is that the deal?
You're exactly right. That's how it was.
Yeah,
So
yeah. All you could see is that blinded light, and they was throwing cans and bottles and every damn thing else at you.
Yeah.
I mean, you get that's thing is what it was, man. Some of the craziest stuff I've been on and seen in my life. It always happened, man. We come in and it'd been storming. And they people, I mean, they was people every doggone where. I mean, they probably was 20,000 people there. I mean, it was just jam-packed, muddy people in a pond, washing. I mean, and if anything you wanted from A to Z, not that I participated, but it was all out there amongst them folks, let me tell you.
And you should have seen them, Gene, as far as dressed. I mean, it was like Tommy's saying. I guess you could imagine. I would say, like what Tommy just said, it was kind of like a Woodstocky, but wilder.
Yeah.
Than that, maybe, and just the different, like people was dressed. You should have seen that. I ain't knocking or nothing, but they dressed different a little bit anyway. But you looked out through there and you seen some of the wildest looking folks that you'd ever seen.
Somebody told me that it was like Woodstock meets a comic book convention.
Well, that would be a good kind of vibe. But I mean, you just seen people was just dressed so different. You seen so many different kinds of hair, looking colors and braided and just anything that you could think of, you would see there, and stuff that you couldn't think of, you would see there.
And right in the center of all them characters out there, you know who I spotted?
Who's that?
The one and only Jamie Dundee. He was out there amongst the crowd.
I bet he was right at home, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's his people.
I will tell you what, we had a great time. I mean, it was definitely, like Doug said, you seen all types of characters and, like you said, but they had, I mean, not just the flashlight. Every doggone match was some kind of crazy match.
Well, now, and here's one thing, Gene. I don't know if Tommy remembers this, and the strange thing, I don't remember who. I think he wrestled somebody, and I wrestled somebody else. But at the last that night, I think or maybe it wasn't maybe it was one of those other times. It might not have been that time you're talking about. But they had Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and X-Pac at one of them that I think me and Tommy was at.
Yeah.
Against Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. And why I'm saying I really remember that time, because Brian and Billy rode with me and Tommy up there, and they'd never been to one of these shows before, as far as together and everything. And but Brian had been to one before, though, because I think it was a year or two before. Where another funny story, we got there, we was in a limousine. We pulled up in a limousine. Well, there's a show at 1 o'clock in the morning and at 4 in the morning, right? Like you were saying, the 4 in the morning. Well, Brian thought he was supposed to be on the one at 4 like I was on. Well, I didn't even know there was a show at 1. I think at that time, I don't even know that I'd ever been to one of them. Well, they get us in a limousine. We're in the limousine, and we're pulling up, and they pull us right up to the back. Well, as soon as we pull up, well, now you got to realize, Gene, everybody in that limousine was tore up. Well, they opened the door of the limousine. We go to get out, and they said, "He's here." And they was talking about Brian. Well, they had just been playing his music, and he thought he was on the 4 o'clock show, and he was on the 1 o'clock show. So he gets out of the car, and there's some steps right there, and we hadn't even seen the ring or nothing or what was around the ring. And I say, well, give me stuff. You got to go to the ring. So he just goes to the ring in like some sweatpants and some tennis shoes. But the people pop when they see him, right?
Yeah.
And he runs the ring and he does his, the little few things that he done. And I've got his wallet in my pocket, and whatever he had in his pockets, I just put in my pockets. And he run out there and done that. But after he done them 2 or 3 little things, his little, his little dance things and his little punches and something else, well, he told him to cut him off. It was a 3-way match. And he rode out to the apron, and he said one of them guys drop kicked him. Well, when he's going to the ring, he didn't look what was around the ring. The ring was about 10 foot off the ground. And so it was on a stage.
Okay.
Well, when he took a bump off the ring, he didn't land on the stage. He went all the way 10 foot till he hit the ground, and it cut him. It cut him like down his arm, and I mean, that was the end of his match basically. But we had to stop at Walgreens and I think CVS on the way back. And I was just trying to get him good enough where they'd let him on a flight to go home. And the kicker was when we got back to Evansville, Bob was there. Bob had been on the show. Like they had an early show, like a regular show, right? Like at 8 or 9 at night, Gene, and then one at 1 and one at 4. Well, his dad was on that earlier one. But when I got him back to Evansville, I think we were staying at the Drury Inn. When I got him back, which the good thing was his dad was really cool. But I got him back. He looked like he'd been in a car wreck. I done wrapped him all up where he was cut at and shit. But like I said, everybody in the car was pretty tore up now. You got to realize this. And when I got him back to his dad, he was really tore up. and I had to explain to Bob what had happened. And I said, man, I'm sorry. And I thought, I'm sorry he's tore up as he is too, but I can't handle that part of it. But anyway, I got him back to his dad. And this is like at 5 in the morning, and they got to go straight to the airport. Like I said, now he's all wrapped up like a mummy and tore up as can be. And I thought the one good thing I thought was that Bob was there, because I thought, now Bob's his dad, so and he listened to Bob. He wouldn't listen to some of the rest of us, but he listened to Bob. But I waited about a day or two before I called him and everything, and he got home. He said, "Man, what happened?" I thought shoot, it's like he'd been in a car wreck.
Dang.
But that's a funny story. Another funny story. Listen to this one, and like I said, this was, I think, the next time or something. But so Billy and Brian ride which they're advertising NWO against DX, like one of the first times that this, supposedly was happening. And I was against somebody, and Tommy was, and I'll let you read the card in a minute, and you can tell us who was against and everything. But I remember this vaguely, but it was funny going in because I was driving. Tommy's in the front seat. No, I think Tommy was in the back seat with Brian, and Billy was in the front seat. Well, as you're going in and out, the cops know all them people are doing stuff that they shouldn't, right? So there's a roadblock when we leave. Well, it's my vehicle, and it's me, Tommy, Brian, and Billy. Well, for some reason, like I said, Tommy's gotten back with Brian, and Billy's in the front with me. Well, I stop at the roadblock, and I hand the cop, I show him my license. I said, "What's going on?" He said, "We just need to see your license." And I show him my license. He said, you ain't got no drugs in there or nothing, do you? And I said, "No, sir." He said, "Well, what are y'all doing?" I said, "Well, we just got done wrestling." And he shines the light straight at Billy. Billy smiles like he's going to know who he is. And he shines the light at Brian. And he don't say nothing to Billy nor Brian. And he shines the light at Tommy and says, "Wildfire Tommy Ricks." and as quick as we left there, he let us go right after that. The cop did. He said, "Ain't got no drugs or nothing." I said, "No, sir." I said, "We just come to wrestling. We're trying to get the heck out of here." And he said, "Okay, y'all can go." And you talking about fun. And I looked at Billy. I said, "He didn't even know who you was, did he?" You know how Billy always was. And I said, out of this whole deal, if it wasn't for Tommy, we'd be back there getting searched right now. I'll say that tore that Billy up. You talking about Brian laughing. I laugh at Billy, smiled at him like he knew who he was. He had no idea who he was. The only person he knew in the car was Tommy.
Probably because he took me to jail before.
Well, let's see here. August the 14th, 2010. So the opening match, the times on these matches are interesting on some of these shows, I've noticed. So 6-man tag team match. The Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, and Tommy Wildfire Rich defeated Kamala and the Haters, Paulie and Vito Tomaselli, 4 minutes and 37 seconds.
Well, hey, I was going to tell you one thing too, and Tommy probably remember this, Gene, and I'm sure this is probably not, but now we're sitting back there. They've got a big tent, like a circus tent, set up, and that's what the boys dressed under, which had lights in it, so we could see and everything. Mm-hmm. And I remember looking over there to the side of the tent, which I said hello to everybody when we got there. But then it was so late, you kind of left everybody alone. But I remember Kamala sitting over there dressed with his face paint on, asleep, sitting there, and then right beside of him was Terry Funk, and he's sitting over there about halfway asleep. But you look all around that dressing room, and you talking about a funny, like I said, it's that time of the morning and everything. Yeah. Like you said, Tommy and Rock and Roll against him, and I'm not sure them other two fellas you said, but it was a cast of characters that they had there.
Yeah, that's I remember seeing a tape of one of these shows, and Kamala was out there because they were throwing all that stuff in the ring like he was talking about, and so like Kamala's got like some Doc Martens on, like he's got his skirt and but he's got some big old like hiking boots on, which looked odd for Kamala, but I don't blame him. I wouldn't have been out there barefooted with him throwing all them bottles and shit. Either.
Hey, I remember one of the funny things about Kamala being there too, though, was they handed him in the ring. They handed him one of the guys handed him a joint, and he took the joint in his mouth and hit it, and the people went freaking wild. You talking about funny?
So then the second match, Bullet Bob Armstrong defeated Cowboy Bob Orton in 5 minutes and 19 seconds. Man, I can only imagine what Bullet Bob and Bob Orton are thinking at this, looking around that scene you just described and being out here wrestling at 4 o'clock in the morning.
You know what they were both thinking? They were both thinking, well, we're getting paid good, but this is sure some wild stuff we're looking at. Because that was one thing, Gene. They paid very well. I mean, if anybody says they didn't, they didn't. I mean, I don't know anybody. You, Tommy, remember they always took.
Yeah, it was money was always. You always look forward, and your money was going to be there too.
Yeah, and they was really good to us, Gene. I mean, really respectful. Anybody else can say whatever they want, but they was always really respectful to us.
That's what I've always heard from all the wrestlers, is that those guys paid well, and they were very respectful of the business and respectful of the guys involved in the business. I got to talk to Tracy Smothers about these shows one night when I was doing commentary with him on a show, because Tracy was known to get pelted the worst of anybody, because he'd go out there and really, give these folks hell.
He'd try to get them going. And
exactly.
I mean, that was his gimmick, to get them stirred up and get them to throw stuff at him.
Well, he usually succeeded, but that's because I asked him about that. I was like, man, I don't know what they were paying you, but was it worth getting pelted in the head? But he goes, oh shit. He's like, yeah. He's like, they paid us well, but like, he'd carry that walking stick out in the ring, and they start throwing them bottles of Fagos, and he'd be hitting them like a baseball bat out there, and then on the one, he just hurled that stick like right out in the middle of the crowd out there. It's where he could kill somebody. So our next tag team match, I don't know. I'm not familiar with these two guys, but Briar Wellington and Butler Jeeves defeated Brian Christopher and Eugene Nick Dinsmore in 5 minutes, 29 seconds. So we got a pretty average time of about 5 minutes on most of these matches.
That's one thing about them matches. Wasn't none of them very long.
Yeah,
guys. I mean, they had a bunch of matches, and I mean, it was they'd move them, man. And people.
And you got to realize, Gene, there would be people come up also. There'd be a lot of people there, but they would usually have other, like during wrestling, other concerts getting over or starting or whatever, and you'd have different people coming up. And I mean, they'd have all different kind of, I'm talking about big acts at this thing. I mean, they had different stages, like they'd have our thing at the ring was set on, and they'd have acts on it when the ring wasn't on it. But they had different stages set up there, and they'd have good entertainment there.
Yeah, like they'd have like big time singers, big time like stand up comedians, like nationally touring people, and
they had like a little carnival thing there too.
Yeah.
I mean, they had something for everybody.
I guess when you draw that kind of crowd, you got money to get everybody paid and to have plenty of different things to see. So,
But Terry Lynn said, you remember you had to take a ferry over there. Yeah, you take the ferry boat over, and then it took off. You was on your own, man.
oh wow, he's over on an island of
Direction. They said,
misfits.
just follow that road right there out. There was a little restaurant. They said, take a ride up there and just follow her on out. And we went, and like in the middle of nowhere, man. All of a sudden, you see people everywhere.
Wow. So then, speaking of, the next match, Tracy Smothers with Isabella Smothers, which I think is Mickey Knuckles, I believe, defeated Hacksaw Jim Duggan in 5 minutes and 5 seconds. So I'm sure that was probably 20 minutes of Tracy jawing with the crowd, and then Hacksaw comes out and got a good reaction, I'm sure.
I'm sure so.
And then in the main event of this particular show, it was PG-13. JC Ice and Wolfie D defeated Gangrel and Kevin Thorne, which is like 7. Mordecai, he had a number of different gimmicks with Truth Martini, and they went 11 minutes and 29 seconds. So yeah, like I said, Jamie was
Jamie won't get his stuff in.
And so then the following night, August the 15th, another round of the Flashlight Wrestling opening match. Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Ronnie Garvin defeated Bull Payne and Ian Rotten. Man, that's a combination of people.
You ain't kidding. Who'd you say Hacksaw Jim Duggan and who?
Ronnie Garvin.
Oh.
So we got, Mid-South WWF star, former NWA World Champion against Bull Payne and Ian Rotten. So that's I don't have times on these matches, which is unfortunate. But the second match, Dirty Dutch Mantell defeated Dangerous Doug Gilbert. So there's a couple of Memphis guys out there in the middle of a Juggalo show. Yeah,
it was called a Memphis something match. I forget what they called it. It actually had a name, Memphis something. I can't remember what it was. But actually, I was glad, though, because if you got to work with anybody, I mean, you sure ain't got to worry about, didn't have to worry about Dutch doing nothing to you or anything, did you, Tommy?
No.
I can just imagine Dutch being in the ear going, what the hell have we got ourselves into, Doug?
Yeah, that's what he was saying. Let's go home. He was saying, let's go home before we ever got in the ring.
Yeah, that wasn't the place for old Yosemite Sam to be.
In the next match, this sounds like a tag team. This may be where the that one spot that you mentioned happened. Kamala and the Weed Man defeated the Haters, which that was the team that Kamala had teamed with the night before, the Tomasellis. But Kamala and the Weed Man.
I think that's where that did happen at, and the people freaking went crazy. I popped. I thought this is the funniest stuff I ever seen.
Yeah, where else are you going to see Kamala hit a joint in the ring? That's that's a Juggalo exclusive right there. Tag team match. PG-13 defeated Brian Christopher and the Disco Inferno. Now, that's a fun tag team, Brian Christopher and the Disco Inferno, with all the dancing and such.
I bet that was a heck of a match. Oh, Disco and Brian together. They both hyperactive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And, too, I remember on that deal, Brian and Jamie had went out in them people, I mean, they had tents and stuff. Gene, they've been wandering around in them people for a day or two, so they were ready, I'm sure.
It's a wonder you found them for that match then.
Well, they wandered back on bikes or something. I ain't sure what the hell was going on, but they come back on bicycles. I don't know what they left in.
No telling with those guys. Singles match. Too Tough Tony with Terry Funk defeated Balls Mahoney with Masada. So I'm sure there was some blood in that one if I had to guess.
I would say so.
Relive the glory days of Memphis wrestling with the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. Each week, we go back in time to review USWA Championship Wrestling from the 1990s, episode by episode. Join us for watch-alongs, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive interviews with people who were there and lived it. Whether you grew up watching it or you're discovering it for the first time, this podcast is your ringside seat to Memphis wrestling history. It's all a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Listen now at uswapodcast.com.
And then the main event for the JCW heavyweight title, Corporal Robinson defeated Brian Christopher. So Brian working twice on that one.
Well, they're getting their money's worth out of Brian, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that dang, bless heart, I guess I ought not say this, but, that Corporal Robinson was one of their main guys, right? And he wound up printing them tickets and selling them at one of them shows. I laughed at the guy, at one of the guys. They told me that, they said, they've got counterfeit tickets. I said, they've got what? And which, the people could order their tickets or something before the thing and have them and everything. So I guess he got him a printing machine or went somewhere and had one and just printed him up as many as he wanted and was selling them or whatever. And I laughed. They wound up kind of tracking it down, but I don't know if they ever got back in good terms, or maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know.
There's no telling. Corporal Robinson goes in and out of good terms with a lot of people, so who's to say? So then August of the following year, in 2011, this was the JCW Legends and Icons. They actually put this one on like an internet pay-per-view. I think this is the one that was headlined, like you were talking about, by like Nash and the New Age Outlaws. So how's this for an opening match? Steel cage match. Greg the Hammer Valentine defeated Tito Santana in 3 minutes and 43 seconds.
Hey, I bet that was a damn barn burner if there ever been one right there. What do you think, Tommy?
I bet it was. 3 minutes. Shit, they just got moving.
If you're listening to this show we're talking about is actually on YouTube. I've seen this, and yeah, that cage match was definitely a barn burner. It took them longer to set the cage up than the match lasted. But
now you're gonna laugh, Gene. Hey, you and Tommy both gonna laugh at this, though. But now, I had a match which is somewhere, and y'all I would say it's off or whatever, but I thought it was good. But it was with Greg, and you know where it was at?
Where?
Myrtle Beach.
Hey.
Right.
And and there was about 1,500, 2,000 people there. You know what the main event of that show was?
What's that?
Dusty against Funk.
Wow.
I bet that, shoot. And Myrtle Beach used to be the place. Hey, what a beautiful day it was earlier today. But now we having some thunderstorms.
They're rolling through.
Yeah, I heard some noise. And it's storming bad here now.
Oh, I thought that was Terry hollering at you.
So next up, the second match on this show is a 15-man battle royal. So listen to this cast of characters here. We got Zach Gowen, which is the one-legged wrestler. Brutus Beefcake.
You can't say that, Gene.
Well, that's just a statement of fact. He doesn't have, but we.
You ought to sit trying to get the figure 4 on him.
Yeah. Flair would have never beat him, but of course, I don't know if he ever did beat anybody with a figure 4. But anyhow. Zach Gowen, Brutus Beefcake, Carlito, Disco Inferno, Doink the Clown, the Headbangers, Mosh and Thrasher, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
Is this everybody on the show, or is this a match?
This is everybody in one match. This is it's a battle royal, but it was like I guess kind of like a Royal Rumble type deal where people are coming out here, like one at a time.
One at a time.
Yeah. You got Jimmy Snuka, Rikishi, Rob Conway, Ronnie Garvin, Tony Atlas, Eugene, and Big Viscera, Mabel. This went 28 minutes and 44 seconds, and Zach Gowen won by last eliminating Viscera.
Because 2 feet didn't touch the floor? Or?
That's right. He couldn't lose.
I shouldn't have said that.
Now, what I said was just a statement of fact that the guy had one leg.
Right.
You made fun of the fact he couldn't get eliminated.
No, I was just playing. I shouldn't have said that.
No, it's just he's not too sensitive about it. So listen to this tag team match. Now, this match would have been a barn burner years before, but in 2011, the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, defeated the Midnight Express, Beautiful Bobby and Loverboy Dennis, in 33 seconds. I don't even know how you even pull that off exactly.
They must
that show must have been running late. They told them to get in and out.
Yeah.
And that group, you didn't have to tell that. You know, a lot of these kids, you tell them, we want 6 minutes, and they're going to go 25 so they can get all their stuff in. You tell some of us old folk that, we get you. You tell us 6, we'll get you 5. We can get it right in 5. You know? Yeah. Hey, I'm going to save some of my stuff for next time. Hey, that's what the kids don't understand no more. They want to go out and do it all. You know, you get on some of these shows and, you know, go to the movies. It's 2 hours, hour and 45 minutes. Go to some of these independent shows. It's like you have a midnight match there, you know. They ain't planning on it. Yeah. But, I mean, it just, you don't have to tell us twice.
Gene, you'd a lot rather see a good hour and a half movie than you had a bad 2 hour and a half movie, hadn't you?
Exactly. That show I was at Saturday night was long, to say the least.
Well, I was going to say I was going to ask you about that. Was it 10:30 or 11 maybe?
Got out of there a little after 10. For the number of matches there were, it could have been over at 9:30. It would have been.
It probably really was over at 9 or something, but the matches just kept going.
Yeah, 2 intermissions and.
Where was you at?
Tupelo.
That's where. Yeah, you booked him there, didn't you, Tommy?
I was there with you, boy, downtown Bruno. That's how he come about being on the show. So. And your buddy Dustin Starr was there, and
you probably got Bruno. That's why you asking us, can he be on there next week? Because you probably paid him. You probably got him to pay you to get on the show.
Oh, okay. Let's say get it right. Now he might have paid me, but I think you've known me long enough now. I'm not paying anybody, Tommy.
Oh no, I meant that's what I meant. Is you probably got him to pay you? Yeah, that's what I meant.
I hope that's what you meant.
Well, he read about half the Eddie Gilbert book sitting over at his table. He wouldn't buy one, and I wouldn't give him one, so he read about half of it during the show. But he got a thumbs up from Bruno, so there you go.
Yeah, that's what. Well, he told me half the truth, and he said he read all of it. I thought, well, you and Gene must have had a lot of freaking time on those hands there.
Well, like I said, it was a long show, but he managed to not have to stay all the way to the end. But yeah, he may have read all of it then. But yeah, he was happy with it. So then we had a 7-way match. Rhino defeated Too Cold Scorpio, Al Snow, Balls Mahoney, Raven, Sabu, and Shane Douglas. 7 guys. They went 3 minutes and 46 seconds.
I need them in and out too. And did you say this was a pay-per-view?
Yeah, this was an internet pay-per-view. Now, here's what's fun. Now, Rock and Roll Express went 33 seconds. The 7 ECW guys went 3 minutes and 46 seconds. Bob Backlund defeated Ken Patera. They went 6 minutes and 12 seconds, which I bet felt like an hour.
You know what? It seems like I remember that. I guess me and Tommy was on this, right?
Yeah, you were. Or you were. Yeah, there's
you know
Tommy.
What? It seems like I remember them sitting in that. Remember me telling you about looking around that dressing room and said different guys. Now, picture all these guys that you're saying under like a circus tent at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning.
I mean, what a collection of people! But I mean, and grumpy ass Ken Patera out at in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night. He goes up there and puts in 6 minutes when the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express are doing 30 seconds. It's wild.
And you know what? I guarantee you they went that long because Backlund wanted to.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it wasn't Patera's plan.
No.
So next up, we got a 5-way Memphis match. Austin Idol defeats Brickhouse Brown, Doug Gilbert, Dutch Mantell, and Coco Beware in 2 minutes and 42 seconds.
Well, that's about 20 seconds apiece, ain't it?
Yeah, right about. And also, y'all couldn't talk Austin Idol into being the one to go down, huh? He had.
Oh no, they probably had to make a deal with him before he'd come, but they wasn't going to beat him.
I don't come unless I win, darling.
Right.
All right. Then the next. All right. Now, Tommy. Apparently, these guys went out there trying to beat the Rock and Roll Express's time, but they missed it by 3 seconds. Tracy Smothers defeated Tommy Rich in 36 seconds.
Oh yeah, if I'm gonna win, it might take me a little bit to win, but if I'm gonna lose, it don't take me long at all. yeah, I can trip coming through that rope and beat me. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I guarantee you that was another one of them deals where Tracy had probably already been out there for 10 minutes talking, and you just went in there and like, all right, let's get this done.
I guarantee you Tommy was saying, let's get out of here because they're throwing shit at him.
Yeah, that was one of them flashlight deals.
Yeah. So then here's the match we was talking about earlier. Tag team match. Guest referee Vampiro. Kevin Nash and X-Pac with Scott Hall defeated the New Age Outlaws, Billy Gunn and Road Dogg, 6 minutes and 27 seconds. Which I remember that being a big draw. Like you said at the time, they really pushed the fact that this is the first NWO versus DX match. That's before they did the thing at WrestleMania with Triple H and Sting and all that. But that wasn't the main event. The main event.
What it was supposed to be, you said it was Nash and X-Pac, right?
Right, with Hall in their corner.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Nash and Hall with X-Pac in the corner. And bless his heart, Scott wasn't doing the best that night. And the funny thing was the kid, X-Pac, he didn't want to work, but he wound up having to work. Well, the funny thing about, and I love Billy and Brian, but Billy didn't even like people to touch him sometimes. So you had X-Pac that didn't want to be in the ring, and Billy didn't even want people. I mean, the only thing he wanted when you locked up with him, he didn't want you to touch him. And it was a funny type deal. If you've seen what I did back there, and I laughed. I thought this shit here gonna be funny. And then what's his name? And they wasn't real excited about that Vampiro. Brian and Billy wasn't. So he kind of wanted to be the star of the show, but he wasn't. But so they done some kind of finish where he wound up pulling off a shirt and he had an NWO shirt under it or something, some kind of, one of them type deals. But the funniest thing I remember out of all that, which I remember all of it real good, but just the funny thing was us leaving and getting stopped and Billy smiling at that cop like because Billy, he was going to let us go. He didn't know who Billy was, and he didn't know who Brian was. He didn't know who I was, but he knew who Tommy was. And Tommy talking to him, he let us right on by and we right on down the road.
NWA champ saved the day.
There you go. Yeah. Tommy made sure he told Billy that after we pulled off there. That's why
I'll bet.
Out of all y'all big
Billy was
stars,
up front. Had his arm propped out that way.
I tell you something that I never realized on television until I seen him in person at a show. How big of a guy Billy Gunn is. Billy Gunn's a lot bigger dude than I realized.
He's 6'6", legitimate, but you got to realize freaking Brian's like 6'4". I mean, Brian's a big, big, but Billy big and Jim big and everything. But I laughed. I remember Tommy saying, "Y'all big WWF stars." He didn't even know y'all, did he? I laughed. That guy, he was funny, but we all laughed.
So then the main event, Bob Orton and Rowdy Roddy Piper defeated Mick Foley and Terry Funk in 4 minutes and 14 seconds.
Damn, that's a minute and 4 seconds apiece for each of them, wasn't it?
Yeah. So there you go. The guys from the main event of the original WrestleMania against the guys from the deathmatch tournaments over in Japan meeting at a Juggalo show. So,
well, like I said, they had a it wasn't just one type of individual that they had. You can look at that group there, and they had a little bit of everything, didn't they?
Yeah, they covered all their bases there. I mean, you go up and down that card, and you've got, old school guys and Memphis guys and ECW guys, WCW, WWF. Like, yeah, I mean, there's something for everybody.
And then they
Not
had
for
like,
long.
They
and then
was
they had like,
Allen on them shows. I mean, all the ones we were on. I mean, it was big names all the way through it. I mean, they didn't spare no expense. I mean, you know, they had the best of the best there.
The price tag on that battle royal alone, I'd hate to know what they paid all those guys.
Really.
It's crazy. So I figured that had to be quite the experience. Like I say, I've been aiming to ask you guys about that for a while. So.
Oh, it was cool, Gene. It was like some of the wildest. Like I said, you know, it depended on how far. Like me and Tommy didn't get real far away from where we were supposed to be. Where like a lot of the, like most of them guys you sit on there, they didn't want to be far away. They'd stay right in the dressing room. But then you had some of the guys want to go out and get right in the middle of it. And they'd walk out there in the middle of the people, and it was like I said, what me and Tommy, we veered off just a little bit, but it was strange what we saw. Now them guys that went on out farther than we did, no telling what they saw.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it. I don't know about. I mean, it's different. I don't know about strange. Well, strange, different, you know. But hey, I mean, it was. You know, if you ain't never seen it, it's something you ought to see.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people they draw out there to that, you know, and for a while they were doing it every year. I don't know if they're still doing it now or not, but I know for quite a few years it was an annual thing every August.
Yeah, it was, like I said, it was cool. They was always real respect, which you hear people say different things about them, but they never, me and Tommy didn't ever have nothing but good dealings with them, and they was always real respectful, nice to us.
Well, that's good to hear, man. That's really good to hear. So any other, you know, you kind of described that as a strange booking and kind of a strange event. Any other, you know, shows over the years that kind of stand out as not your typical wrestling show that you guys have ended up on, be it together or separate?
Shoot, I can't think of nothing as wild and as strange as going out to this thing, clown posse thing, taking a ferry over the river and then getting out in the middle of nowhere and you pop up over a hill and 20,000 people's out there. I mean, yeah, I don't think it gets no crazier or stranger or wilder than what that was. I mean, I wrestled some in Puerto Rico, and you know you talk about a wild crowd, but that's a different style crowd. They were just mean and nasty. Where these folks, well, the ones throwing the stuff, but most of them there were just laid back, having a good time. You know, you know, if you ain't never been to one, I enjoyed that part of it too. Like Dougie said, we didn't stray far from the tent, but right. You could hear like Dougie was talking about. They had two different, like they had wrestling was like a stage, and then they had over like to your left was a stage where they had a concert, and then directly across to the right they had another stage. They'd have like, you know, as soon as one would finish, another stage would open, then the wrestling, and then like I said, they had the little carnival rides. I mean, you know, it was just a little bit of everything, and food. I mean, they had it all.
Yeah, Gene, it was definitely a different experience, and like I said, but it was, like I said, to me it was cool just walking in the little dressing room tent deal, like I told you, that big like a circus tent set up, and just you picture that the talent that you said that was on that show sitting in that thing,
yeah,
and everything. I mean, it was wild. It was a wild experience.
Well, I mean, just getting all those guys out to that remote location, you know, like getting, you know, Bob Armstrong and Bob Backlund and Terry Funk and all these guys out there in the middle of nowhere. And I don't know, just trying to pitch them on like, all right, man, we want to book you on this show. It's a wrestling show, but it's going to be in the middle of the night. It's going to be flashlight. I can't imagine even selling that to them.
You know what they said, Gene?
How
as
much?
far as you're talking about selling it to them, you know how they sold it to them? This was the exact way they said, how much do you want? and all of them could name their price. And I don't think anybody really realized how much money they made and had for this,
Yeah.
and whatever anybody said is what they got paid.
Yeah, that's
In the plane fare, I mean, because a lot of the guys, I mean,
Yeah.
like we come here from Tennessee, but most of the guys, I mean, a lot of them flew in, you know,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
fly in, got a room. I mean, so that overhead on that, I mean, it was that, you know, just a bunch.
Yeah, I would love to see like the P&L on one of those things because, like I said, just all the wrestlers, and then you would see like big name like comedians and musicians, and that I know just have a huge price tag involved, plus all the setup to have all those different stages and lights and all the stuff that you got to have out there to accommodate all those people, and so it's a big undertaking. It's impressive those guys. We're able to do that and do it year in and year out like that.
Well, you know what? I guess Gene, now it'd be a little bit easier on them because me and Tommy was just up in Illinois, and about every third block there's a dispensary. So I don't guess they could say too much to them right now, could they, Tommy?
Yeah, we wouldn't have to worry about that roadblock outside either.
That's true. That's true. So, kind of on that, along the same lines, I guess, sort of. And this ain't really a strange bookings, but like earlier this year, you guys did you did the show at the Memphis State football game, and I know over the years there's shows like in the infield at racetracks during race days and different ball games.
There used to be a couple that was cool, and you said that, and it brought back a memory to me that they would do in right outside of Louisville. There was a racetrack there, and they set a ring on a trailer, like a pull behind, like a truck would be pulling a 26-foot trailer, and they would have a ring sitting on that trailer, and they would pull the ring as we was wrestling around the racetrack, if you can picture that. And I don't know if Tommy was on any of those shows, but now you talking about different because, on one side, like the start-finish line, you got bleachers there. Then you don't have no bleachers in the curve. You don't have no bleachers in the other curve. But on the other side, you got bleachers there. So we'd wrestle in front of the guy would start. We'd be wrestling. All of a sudden, we get to where there wasn't no people. We stop for a minute. Then you get to where the people was. You start back. Then you wrestle when he's in front of them. He'd be going like 20 miles an hour. So they could watch you for a little bit. But then you get away from them. Then we stop for a little bit. Then when you get ready to get pulled back up on them others, you start back wrestling. But that was one of the rather stranger deals and that was a Lawler deal that he had set up. But it's a real good paid deal, and they do it a few times a year when they was racing during the summer. And that was a cool, but kind of different. I hadn't nowhere else I'd kind of.
Yeah, but I don't think I was on that one.
No, I don't think
I made that one.
That's wild in a movie.
But now that was cool. And then Lawler also had a deal in Evansville at the horse track. And when I say it wasn't so much different, but it was just as far as the place it was at. It was at a horse track in the building there at the horse track, like there was seats all up behind it. But if you look out the windows, there was like windows on one side of the ring, no people, but like where people could see the horses racing. And but they set a ring right there. So if we looked out, you could see the horse track, but then you worked towards the fans that was on your backside. So that was kind of another different, but that was a good paid deal too that Lawler had with the guy. And that was kind of a unorthodox deal.
Yeah, because you're at a venue where it's not necessarily wrestling fans. They didn't always come there expecting to even see that. So I guess you got to kind of change you're not playing off TV angles or anything. You're just having a match, basically.
Well, yeah, but the cool thing, our TV did still go into Evansville at this time and everything. So they still kind of knew all us, but it was something had happened with the Evansville Coliseum at this time I'm talking about. So what happened was a business guy that had plenty of money had contacted Lawler, and he made a deal with him. But that was another story. But it was a cool, like I said, that I think that lasted like 4 or 5 months, and that was a kind of a cool deal. Actually, I think it wasn't in Evansville. I think it was in Henderson, right across the bridge from Evansville. Actually, Henderson.
Gotcha. I know over the years, different promotions have done shows in prisons. Have either one of y'all ever been on any of those prison shows?
I have not. Have you, Tommy?
No, I don't think I have either.
I was watching one recently, it was one like Terry Golden's KW did a show at a prison there somewhere outside of Memphis, and then I know there's that one. There's some Memphis show that there's clips of from a prison as well. So just wondering, that seems like that would be interesting feedback.
Yeah, that's kind of. I mean, I believe they've had them and everything, but that'd kind of be a hard sell, wouldn't it, when you're trying to not promote violence? And
yeah, it looks like they wouldn't even want that there. It's like it'd rile them up and get them, get it potentially be a problem, and you certainly wouldn't want to be the baby face in that situation. You wouldn't want to be, Jarrett in '86 or something out there.
Hey, that might need to be what we need to do, send Tommy to all the prisons to see if we can get some wrestling shows at the prisons.
The Memphis Mafia Prison Tour 2025.
There you go.
There you go, Tommy. We'll see if we can get you on that.
Theme song could be Jailhouse Rock.
That's funny. I was trying to think, Gene, any other, like you said, I mean, to me and Tommy, it's not that it's not normal, but I love where we wrestled with the Memphis Tigers thing. We've done stuff like that kind of all around the country, but I think me and Tommy kind of think that's normal, even though to most people it wouldn't be normal, like for the different, doing stuff at say like the Grizzlies games, or going, here's a different thing too, for the NCAA, for the Music City Bowl. I used to go there every year for Jeff Jarrett had a deal set up through Pro Wrestling Entertainment. That still goes on today at the Opryland Hotel. They got 2 banquet rooms, and they put one team in one banquet room and set a ring up in there, and put the other football team in another banquet room because they don't want them together, from to get into it or anything. And they have like 2 wrestling shows, and that's kind of a cool deal. And Jeff really took care of me good on it and got me a room at the Opryland Hotel for a night, which I take my wife up there and she'd like that, and we'd stay and we'd do the wrestling show, then go out and eat and everything. And then he'd always give me tickets to the game the next day because the game was the following day. Yeah. So I went up there. I got to see the Vols, which, the Vols are my favorite, which I like a lot of football teams. But the Vols actually played in one of them when I was up there, and that was cool. But he'd always give me a couple tickets for me and Melissa, and he'd really take care of me on money and everything. I thought that was, a different aspect that people would know, because the only people that got to come to it was actually the 2 football teams and like their coaches and their staff and stuff. So that was kind of neat, different.
Yeah, so it's a private show just for the teams. You're not letting the general public in. Yeah,
exactly.
I do remember wrestling on the barge one time. I don't remember where it was at, but it was on the water, definitely on the water. But in the main event, one of the guys took a bump off down to the water with his boots and all on.
Oh, man.
Oh, he done lost his mind. Yeah, that was it was there. I mean, it's big enough. People was on it. I mean, it was pretty cool. I mean, it's nice. It's hot.
Yeah.
And Tommy's talking about bars, Gene. I told you about the bar I don't mean bar, but I guess your comedy club. Me and Tommy wrestling in there, where you come to the comedy club in Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson there.
Yeah, me and Tommy wrestled in there a couple times, which our buddy owns it, Frankie Lax, which he's a friend of mine, Tommy's and everything. He owns both of them. I think him and his friends still own both of those. There's one, and then one right across the road from it. But we dress in one and wrestle in the other. But that was one of the Eddie Marlin deals. Eddie Marlin set that up back years ago, and me and Tommy wrestled there for the office and everything, and that was kind of a cool deal.
Yeah, I could see that being a cool setup for wrestling in there, the way that place is laid out. So.
Yeah, it was neat.
Well, guys, we've got through another one. It's already been an hour, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up for this week, and then we may be back with a guest next week. If not, we may be answering some questions. We'll see how things go.
Well, that's what Tommy said. He wants some questions. He likes answering them questions and everything. And I guarantee you, when we get off this when we get off here tonight, Tommy will think of some more dang buildings that he's wrestled in that be odd or something.
Well, that's how we can start the show next week, with any odd ones that you guys think of throughout the week between now and then. So
I got you. Good deal. Well, listen, man, Tommy, you got a lot of stuff to do. Gene said you're going to be in Detroit and Wheelwright and where's it going to be?
Detroit, Saturday, and then July the 4th, Wheelwright. I mean, it's going to be a big show. Looking forward to that. Hey, y'all just keep sending them questions in, anything you need to know. And if y'all got some bookings, whether it's a birthday party, whatever, Doug and me's available.
You sure are. Listen, everybody knows to contact Gene. Gene, everybody's got they can get a hold of you and to get to us and everything. Listen, thanks everybody for listening. And if you got any questions, you need to know anything, all you got to do is ask Gene and he'll get with us. But listen, everybody, peace. Be cool.
In the heart of Tennessee, born with pride, Doug and Tommy taking rings in stride. Memphis legends never backing down. Wrestling warriors, they wear the crown. Used to be away, glory in their veins. Fighting legends breaking chains. In the square circle they made their name. Podcast champions, it's their claim to fame. On the mic they roar, on the map they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans wanting more. Podcast kings ruling the waves. Memphis wrestling raising the stage. From title belts to Hall of Fame, Doug and Tommy carved the name. Fists of fury and hearts of gold. Every story, every fight retold. Tales of glory, laughter, cry. Tennessee warriors with hearts open wide. In the ring or on the air, legends living without a care. On the mic they roar, on the mat they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans wanting more.